chocolate cereal energy bar from Yang's.
Yay! Don't trust them. Hello everyone and welcome back to 4pixels. Coco and Kimi are here with our guests Layflay and Buttons, and we're continuing the letter. Let's read the journal first.
All right.
The storm had started in earnest when Ashton arrived at the mansion. While trying to find a way in, the detective noticed the eerie silence had enveloped the place. Something was wrong inside. But before he could figure it out, the sobs of a woman suddenly echoed.
Regardless, it fails to mask the old, musty scent of the place. A mixture of mold and mildew, dust and grease, and something distinctly foul.
You know, for being a cop, you really don't recognize this. Oh, never mind. You do. That's
Like
gonna be
death.
really, bitch?
Like rotting corpses.
Yeah, you're a murder cop.
Murder cop.
Murder cop. The Punisher.
Listen,
You don't know the smell of a dead body?
Listen, he may be a murder cop, but he only had to deal with one guy trying to eat his own eyeball, okay? Not 20 of them.
But he said he's found cop murder death scenes. Fucking God.
Cop murder death scenes.
Cop murder
That's
death
what they're
scene.
called.
That's the name of my next horror game with Hideo Kojima.
Cop murder death scenes. Starring Mads Mikkelsen.
I'd pay real people money to see that.
Oh, the fun fact is that's just called Hannibal.
Not wrong.
Not wrong, there are cop murder death scenes there.
And
Brainwashing.
And face eating.
and Gillian Anderson, so it's like a win-win, really.
Yeah. Also, there's face eating, and I don't mean like sexual face eating.
How do you sexually eat a face? Okay, making out, yeah. And
We're
then
moving
more.
on.
I
We're
forgot.
moving on. Read your line.
More worrisome than the putrid, festering smell, however, are the cells that line both sides of the tunnel. Under the dim light, I can barely make out what's inside some of them. But I already have a few ideas, all of which I refuse to delve into at the moment.
This kind of evokes, there's a very similar scene. There's a similar section of Silent Hill 2 where you're in the prison, and you can look kind of into the cells, but you can't really see what's in the cells. It's just all this like ambience that's going with it.
That makes it
Very
worse,
similar.
honestly.
Knowing how long this mansion has stood, somehow, no matter how unexpected finding the existence of this place is, it isn't too surprising.
I wonder if Scumbag knows about this.
Probably not. Unless he's also the kind of person who takes joy in inflicting this kind of suffering on others. I really don't think so. I'm pretty sure he'd be ecstatic to find it, though. He's rotten to the core, but not that rotten. He'll probably balk at this, move out at the first opportunity, and have it demolished.
Remember, kids, always discuss your safe words.
What?
Your safe word must contain at least one capital letter, one lowercase letter, and a number, and a symbol.
Your safe word cannot match your username.
Or be a safe word that you've used in the past 6 months. The very idea of what has occurred in this place years ago makes me reel as well. I've known long ago places like this tend to hold secrets. This, though? If this is just the tip of the iceberg, I fear what I may discover in the mansion itself and the tale behind that fucking letter. Fear is but fear is inconsequential as wow. Y'all just got a taste of what my bucktooth does.
I just like to
Fucking
imagine that all
squeaking.
of the speaking errors are in fact Ashton, like he's trying to be a super cool noir cop,
But he's
and then
like,
he
"But
just
you
fucks up his internal monologue each time.
The
Yes.
fear's inconsequential. As unpleasant as the sight of this is, this place might also be the only way for me to get inside unnoticed. First, you have to break out.
True.
Sighing and taking one last gulp of clean air, push away from the wall and delve deeper into the passage.
Let's
Oh, wait,
just
are you
hope we have
telling-
smooth sailing from here on?
Are you telling me he actually didn't fall into one of the cells? Fuck yeah.
Does this mean we get to see my wife?
Maybe.
Dead.
What?
Turns out that alone is too much to ask for this early. No 20 paces into it, another sound abruptly rises above my footfalls, rebounding off the hollow walls and echoing inaudibly across the whole span of the tunnel, before fading away just as swiftly as it rang. I pause, nevertheless, straining my ears for more of it, while I gradually move my hand to my side, slow and steady until the tips of my fingers brush off the metal of the gun's handle. Yep, inserting words. 'Cause fuck you. Although cold against my skin, it's the closest thing I have to comfort at this moment. For a long minute, I wait, holding my breath, watching every form, edge, and shadow at the corners of my vision for any movement. After a heartbeat, nothing, I allow the tension to ease out of me in the form of a long, slow exhale that reverberates around the whole passage.
Who's there?
Perhaps it's because of what has happened earlier and how I've ended up here, or maybe it's because of my training. But in spite of the panic and fear in that voice, I don't immediately answer. Instead, I pull my gun free from its holster and wordlessly draw closer to where the voice rings out once again. Afraid. Frantic. Weak?
I'm asking you a question. Who's there?
It's only after I've released the safety do I answer, while continuing my approach in a careful, steady pace.
I think I should be the one asking you that. Who are you? Show yourself.
I can't. I'm stuck in here.
Well, a ghost will definitely not be saying that, or have a conversation like this, or be stuck anywhere. And as if to prove her point, she extends a hand from one of the cells' head and waves. Then she pulls back, grips the iron bars, and rattles it lightly.
I can't get out. Can you help?
In 5 quick steps, I'm standing in front of the cell, and sure enough, a woman's inside. Slumped to the floor, holding the bars with shaking hands, clinging to it as if it's the only thing keeping her upright. Not just any woman.
You? McLaughlin?
Christ.
McLaughlin, you mean? Same one I met at G's 5 days ago, smashed drunk and babbling her frustrations about her employers.
Holmes?
No, not McLaughlin. McCullough. Marianne McCullough, famous interior designer extraordinaire. Not so extraordinary now, with how exhausted and feeble she looks, trapped in a jail cell of all things.
She's been there like 2 days minimum. Maybe
Yep.
3.
Yep. I think the party was 2 days ago.
Hmm.
Wait, Jake.
See. No, it was before this even. Yeah, that 29.
So is the
it was
28th.
yeah.
Oh yeah, so the
So she's been
dehydration
there
would actually
4 days.
the dehydration would
Damn.
actually be killing her.
Yeah.
Her breathing's shallow and there's
You.
Sorry.
How long
Rip.
have you been stuck in here?
Her breathing's shallow and there's a paleness in her complexion. Sunken eyes, cracked lips, dry skin. All signs pointing to starvation and dehydration.
What? You. How long have you been stuck in here?
3 days? 4? I don't know. I have no idea anymore. I just fell in and that woman. Whatever. Can you get me out of here? Please.
Wow,
A
she's
moment.
really good.
In a moment.
Did they-
Here.
In a
Go
moment.
fix yourself first before you fall over.
Did they change her voice actress?
No, it's the same one, but she's like so distressed that her accent is liminal at best. I fished out an energy bar from my pocket and handed it to her. She's lucky I always have one on my person. Chocolate cereal energy bar. From Yang's.
Yay!
Don't trust them.
For sudden emergencies or extended stakeouts, a little sugar to keep me going. Like any starving person, she wastes no time making a grab for it, unwrapping it straight away and taking it in whole mouthfuls of it. Relief washes over her face on the first bite alone, although she's going to need more than that if what she has said is true. For the moment, it's enough to keep her alive. Good thing she seems to have Good thing she Good thing she seems to have the sense of prioritized survival over comfort, if the puddle in the corner of the cell indicates anything. Gross. Without water, the human body can only survive 3 days. No food, and I'll give it an average of 3 weeks. Even then, it won't be a pretty experience. Granted, some have survived longer than that. She's still fortunate I found her when I did. Now to get her out. My bobby pins won't be of any use here. Not like I need it. Unlike the ones we have at this precinct, a simple barrel hinge holds the gates of this cell together. Yep. Even without any special tools, I'll be able to lift the door and free her. However, with how heavy it seems, I'll need a lever of some sort to help.
What are you looking for?
Some wood, a 2x4, I guess, a plank or a pipe. Anything I can use as a lever. Wait here.
Where's she gonna fucking go?
Yep. The hallway yields nothing but dust, dirt, and a few rusted chains scattered about. While I may find something in one of the open cells, I'm reluctant to check or even step in. We can't have another person trapped in here. However, McCullough ended up inside.
Well, there's no.
My head snaps back to her. McCullough extricates a wooden board from under the mess of hay and twine near her. Without prompting, she slips it through what little space there is between the bars. It's short, but appears thick and sturdy enough for my intended purpose upon closer inspection.
Good enough.
I hope. I get to work at once, anchoring the other end of the plank at the base of the door and applying ample force on the other end. It takes a bit of effort, no kidding about the heavy part. Still, a grunt, a gasp, a creak, a river. What? In a matter of minutes, with a little help from her on the other side, the door eventually lifts off its hinges. It falls to the ground with a loud, ugly metallic thud. but the sound of it puts elation on McCullough's face. She doesn't even ask for help. As soon as she can, she hastily crawls out of the prison she's accidentally found herself in. More than happy to get out of it, despite lacking the strength to stand firmly on her feet.
Thank you. Thank you so much. After the second day, I was so sure I was going to die in there. If you didn't show up... today. I don't even want to think about it.
How did you even end up here?
For a second, she appears hesitant, looking away and fumbling awkward with her fingers.
I was looking for something. Someone.
A contemplative expression flickers in her eyes, something that's close to wistful, like when a person remembers a memory she's fond of. It doesn't last too long, but it still leaves me the impression that I've suddenly walked into something private. Something deeply personal for her. I'd rather not ask.
So this whole tunnel, at the end of it, it leads right inside the mansion?
The wine cellar.
Right into the kitchen, then.
There's a door of some sorts. I don't know. I think I pulled or pressed something somewhere. I was in a hurry. And I'm not sure if it'll open from this side. Hell, this place wasn't even in the floor plans.
What do you mean?
Does that really matter now? We have to get out of here. People died in this place. Kids! Oh God! Kids! I could have shown you, but that thing won't turn back on anymore. It's like it only waited for me to see it before shutting down or something. How long has that thing even been in there? But those poor kids. All because of that thing.
Wait, hold on. What are you talking about right now?
The bloody letter! Ever since I've read that thing, since that day at the open house, she won't leave me. But it should be fine now, right? I broke it. I broke all of it. She shouldn't be able to do anything now.
Mikala, one at a time.
It's all that fucking paper's fault! Oh God. Oh God. Dear Lord in St. Adelaide, bless those poor souls. We're not safe here. We need to leave. If we stay here any longer...
Mikalo!
Abruptly, she stops, looks back at me with wild, panic-stricken eyes. I've seen enough of it so many times these past few days, from my own friends even. To know she has seen things, the kind that'll easily make any person go mad. And perhaps slowly we are. The longer this takes, the faster our descent into it becomes. I can't even tell which one's worse, death or this. Seems like no matter what we end up with, there'll always be something horrible waiting for us. I need to hurry.
Listen, I need to get inside this place, and you're more familiar with its layout. If you can help me...
What? No! Why would I go back? Are you sure you haven't gotten raving mad yet? An exit's right here.
And this business with the letter has to end at some point. Look, I know you're not very fond of Luke Wright.
Damn right I'm not. He can just go.
But are you really sure you want to leave him like this? And what about his wife?
It strikes a chord.
A gay chord.
She falters, grows quiet as the tension lifts from her and her shoulders slump. I do understand her issues with this. In fact, she doesn't have to go with me. Only tell me enough info so that I can figure it out on my own. You can always leave afterwards. Be done with this whole damn mansion and let her. The other end of this tunnel leads right into the forest. It'll provide ample cover for her to be able to slip out of the property unnoticed. All the same, she steels herself and squares her shoulders.
Just until the kitchens.
That's more than enough.
She nods, albeit weakly. Then, without another word, gestures for me to follow, leading me further into the passage. Occasionally she'll stop and find purchase on a wall to catch her breath, but throughout the short walk she asks for neither break nor assistance. I suppose that's something we have in common. Eventually we get to a dead end. Although before I can question her on it, she begins palming for something on the wall. Tracing her fingers along the weathered edges of the bricks with a frown on her face.
It should be somewhere here, I think.
What the hell are you doing?
She merely holds up a hand, begging for my silence, and continues searching. Then, without a warning, a few minutes later, something clicks. A portion of the wall shifts ajar to reveal a glimpse of another room. Bottles lining the walls, liquor barrels for aging. A wine cellar indeed.
The ladder to the kitchen is on the far end of this room.
Surreal. This is all nothing but a surreal nightmare. But after everything, should this even surprise me? Ghosts, curses, hidden passages. I can't even bring myself to question the existence of this door anymore. I simply follow her to the undercroft without a single question, in spite of a number of them already swimming inside my head. As a kid, I used to crave this kind of adventure. The stuff of mystery and detective novels, daring chases, interesting cases to solve, suspects to put behind bars, and justice to serve. I was blinded, I admit. Now I simply want this to be over. You need to go to November 8th.
After his fall, Ashton found himself in an underground passage when he came to. There he encountered Marianne McCulloch, who got trapped in one of the jail cells for several days. The detective managed to free her, and in turn, she helped him find a way into the mansion.
We leave the door open in case there's a need for a quick exit, especially after she mentions it's only by chance that she has been able to open the door last time. We can't waste time finding the switch again on the occasion something goes horribly wrong. There's bound to be, with me feeling this high-strung and tense. I'm not even sure why I thought it'll be a good idea to enlist McCullough's help. Although she has been quite helpful so far, I can't shake off the horrible feeling something's going to happen to her if she stays with me. Even if I'm her safest bet, if she wants to get out of this place alive.
You really believe that, don't you?
Great.
Did you say something?
Nice.
You actual idiot.
Mm-hmm. McCullough pauses mid-step, turning to me confused.
I didn't.
You sure? I just heard.
Don't you think I'll be the first person who'll know? Look, the ladder leading to the kitchen's up ahead. You might want to hurry. I just want to be done with this place.
See? You dragged another one.
This time I'm sure. There's really a voice. Well, voices. Despite the look of protest McCullough shoots me, I find myself stopping and looking for it, searching the immediate surrounding for the familiar form of the woman. I don't even have to venture too far from where I'm standing. Just an arm's length away from me, mirror shards litter the floor. And right on the biggest fragments, they speak.
Ooh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Radical.
That's really neat. So Ghost, Isabella, Zach, and Becca, I guess. Maybe?
That'd be
Yep.
my assumption, yeah.
All singing the same mocking tune against my ears, letting it echo through the small undercroft. Murmurs and laughters, jeering, scoffing, deriding, lacing venom into every crevice in my head. Haunting me.
You dragged another person into this, Ashton.
Into another one of your silly little problems.
All because you can't fix them on your own. You really haven't changed, have you? Some hero you are.
Useless.
Pathetic.
You're wrong.
My mistake lies in the first instance I've answered.
Mm-hmm.
The very second denial has slipped from my mouth, their words have also seeped into my heart, allowing it to prod at and rouse my temper. Despite knowing they are merely doing this to goad me, each word, each syllable trickle into me, spurring the guilt I hope I've long buried.
Are we? Or is that simply what you've been telling yourself all this time? Something to make yourself feel better, perhaps?
You're the one who took that letter off Isabella's hand that day. You're the one who opened it.
How does it feel, I wonder, to know you're responsible for all of this?
What do you think I'm doing? Why do you think I'm still trying to fix this?
Oh, but you can't. It's already too late. And you know that. You know all of this is futile.
Just face it, Ashton Frey. You're a failure, and they are the ones who have to pay for it.
A badge and a gun, and you still can't protect your own friends. Can't even solve a case for an old man.
Can't even bring Luke right to justice.
Can't even keep his own family together. No wonder they left you. Before you do the same thing to them.
Mom and Dad are better off without little old you, aren't they? It's a good thing they had the sense.
Pitiful, isn't it? Some detective you are. Some friend you are. Some son you are. You might as well just throw that rank away. You're no use to people either way.
Shut it!
I really like the audio editing they did on their voices.
I was going to say, all the voice actors sound real good with their evil lines.
Yeah. I hate this. I hate how this monster can easily get through to me. Every weakness, every insecurity, it knows. To hear it said in my friends' voices, even more so. What I hate above all of it is...
You know it's true, though.
All of it. It's why all you can do is tell us to shut up. You don't want to hear a single word, because you're already aware of it. You can't even admit it to yourself. Who's the coward now?
But no matter how hard you try, you're not gonna be able to say it anymore.
Shut it! Not a single word anymore.
In the end, your own incompetence will eventually lead to the deaths of everyone you care about.
It laughs, sharp and piercing. At its sound, something in me snaps. A rage hastily unfurling, red filling my vision. And the next thing I know, I'm raising my hand and... something grabs at my wrist, followed by a buzz as another voice breaks through the haze.
Don't listen to it!
The fog from my mind lifts, Every sound, every noise returns to me, flooding my senses. All at once, there's this deafening silence. Slowly, I become aware of my surroundings. Bottles of wine, barrels of liquor, faint old scent of death and decay somewhere, and a hand holding onto my wrist as if to keep me from hurting myself. In my hands, a shard. Blood drips from where it is. Blood drips from wherein has cut my palm, trailing down my wrist until it disappears behind my sleeve. Ow. Not too deep, negligible even. There is pain, however, different kind. An ache somewhere else that stems not from the wound, but where every single word has hit. When I glance up at McCullough, she's merely staring at me with wide, horrified eyes.
Don't listen to it. No matter what happens, don't do what it says. It's how it gets us.
My grip on the shard falters, but only after I nod and drop it entirely does she release her grip. Afterwards, she simply steps back and looks away, hugging her arms closer to herself. She breathes a sigh, heavy. Perhaps weighed with her own guilt, what this monster might have used against her.
Come on, we're getting close.
She walks off without another comment, but there's worry in her as she gives the fragments one last glimpse.
And with that, we will end this episode right here. Thank you guys for joining us, and see you next time.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.